Hi, it's Joy, and today I'm going to be watching The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 9, Old Friends Not Forgotten. This is the fourth to last episode. That is insane. I'm planning on watching the last 4 episodes today. They will stay up in their usual 2 a week, although I believe the last 2 episodes will be up on the same day, so that there's not just one episode left hanging on its own weekend. But my goodness, this show has just been amazing, and it feels so crazy to me that I'm about to sit down for a couple of hours and just finish the Clone Wars. But regardless of that, I have no idea what to expect from these next 4 episodes, in the sense that, like, do they end with, like, the opening to the movies? Well, not all of the movies, obviously, but to the, you know... I cannot remember how that movie begins, but is that how the show would end, or does it cover the same ground? We will see. But I feel like it's not going to be a Sunshines and Rainbows finale set. I am assuming these 4 episodes go all together. I don't know. That Old Friends Not Forgotten maybe makes me hopeful that Ahsoka's going to come back. But it also could be a lot of people we've seen before, because Old Friends could mean a lot of faces from the show. I know people have talked a lot about how, and I've noticed that there are a lot of 4-episode arcs, so it seems fitting that they would end it with one, but we will see. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon 2 weeks in advance. That means right now all of the Clone Wars is up there unedited. You can also find the edited versions as well. They will also be up there, and almost definitely I will have started the Rebels, both edited and unedited, on my Patreon when you're watching this on YouTube. Without further ado, let's go. Normally, I just skip the intro because it's kind of just the standard Disney Plus, like, this is a Star Wars show type thing. This felt very different, the, like, couple of seconds that played before I got to skipping it. Even just the fact that it came up with, like, yeah, like, this is very different. Is it almost like a movie but split? Whoa. Why did they do this so differently to the rest? Oh lord. We are truly in the end game of the end game. Oh god. No! I closed my eyes and I missed his big arrival, so I want to go back. Because I closed my eyes because I didn't want to watch a clone die all over again. Beautiful. This really does feel epic. Like, I was right to binge these 4 episodes today. This feels like the beginning of something. Of the end.
Anakin, where are you? I'm right here. What are you doing down there?
Anakin.
Taking cover. Now get down.
It's crazy to think how far he falls so quickly. Because obviously we know he's gone a lot of the way along his psychological journey towards Darth Vader and around, but he's still so Anakin-y.
Come to surrender.
Surrender? That's a relief. By the tactical droid.
Oh, my angel!
Hang in there a little longer.
Oh my god.
Open fire. Now or two.
No, no, no! You've got to rely on the stupidity of the droids at this point. But Anakin is using slightly more un-Jedi tactics. Like, not Jedi. I don't think anything he just did was, like, against the way of a Jedi. But it wasn't quite the usual playbook. Oh.
Where are you? Are you okay?
Bless. There was still so much of him there at this stage.
But I have urgent information.
If Ahsoka hadn't left the order, she wouldn't have been where she needed to be.
The Force works in mysterious ways.
I suppose. I thought you would be more excited about
Trying to make sense of everything.
I am cautiously
Feeling like this is so lovely because they're going to reunite, but then I also know how short-lived it can be. Oh! To think she's still in his life all those years later. How much he remembers, who knows?
Ahsoka, I'm so glad.
We'll have to catch up another time.
Oh.
Things are moving quickly.
I don't think she necessarily wants to confront all the emotions that arose as well. If you dwell too much on what you've lost, you'll miss it more, I suppose.
Advise the Jedi Council of this development.
There's no time.
For Satine.
I thought she meant something to you.
She did. And still does. The Council will decide what our course of action will be.
To be honest, I do understand that. I think it probably is the healthiest decision in a way, is someone emotionally connected shouldn't be the one to make the choice. And there is the whole issue of Mandalore wanting to be neutral and all the treaties and everything. It's just a mess.
Well, all things considered.
You two certainly.
It's so good to see them together. It's like the life she had left behind.
They shouldn't salute me anymore. Not since I left the Order.
It doesn't matter to them.
You still fought for them.
Company! Attention!
Oh, is he trying to win her back with clones?
They've been waiting to see you.
No, with old friends.
The paint job's a little crude, but we think it gets the idea across.
I love it.
More surprise for you.
Oh, they love her so much. I love her so much. You interrupting a nice moment, bitches? What is this? We don't have many nice moments left in this world.
Anakin, Rex, prepare all forces. No, it's Coruscant. Grievous has attacked the capital. What about the Chancellor? The heart of the Republic is under attack.
I understand that as usual you're playing politics. This is
There is a
why
bit of
people
that.
have lost faith in the Jedi.
People on Coruscant need us.
No. The Chancellor needs you.
I mean, if Coruscant's being attacked, they do also need them, Ahsoka.
We'll promote Rex to commander and have him lead the new division. Ahsoka can go with him as an advisor. What do you say?
I accept. That is, if Obi-Wan agrees.
She's not, you know...
Very well.
I do think it's interesting because Ahsoka still has the same values she's always had, but she's not bound by loyalty to the Order anymore. She can see things differently. I do think she's, I mean, I know you say it's not fair. I do think she's wrong in the sense that they are jumping to the Chancellor's defense, sure, but there are also a lot of lives on Coruscant that they are directly responsible for, whereas Mandalore is a sticky political situation. If you have a treaty of neutrality or, like, we aren't going to get involved with your wars, and especially as a Jedi you have a history of wars with those people, it does become a lot more dangerous to charge in there. Do I think it is still the right thing to do if they're being governed by someone like Maul? Yes, especially in these circumstances where it is obvious and explicit that there is danger to the people because of Maul, and the people themselves are asking you for help rather than it being like just an outside influence. But it is a politically turbulent situation. This does seem to me to be the right course of action, though.
May the Force be with you.
Will they see each other again, I wonder?
One other thing. I killed Maul once.
Tuh.
Just to capture him. He doesn't seem to stay dead.
Top of his head this time?
Thanks for the support. As always.
That's what friends are for.
Oh, family.
If you're gonna face Maul, you'll need these.
She's a friend of the family.
They're good as new.
Of course you did.
Maybe a little better.
Anakin has not changed, though he has in so many ways.
Capture.
Good luck.
I feel like every one of these is going to be a last meeting. Very, very stressed. Nothing new there. That is the danger
Your
here.
time has come. You're nothing like your sister.
I feel like probably the ideal ruler for Mandalore would have been someone that was the mix of both sisters.
Sorry, I didn't think to bring you a jetpack.
Don't need one. Race you to the surface.
I love her so much. She's so good. Did not need a jetpack. That was epic. I love her so much.
Beat you.
Things never change.
Oh, there's a lot, some things are gonna change to an extreme.
Let's move in.
Careful, careful, there could be traps.
Just as our Lord predicted.
Where's Maul?
Yep.
Never wanted you to bring the Jedi here, but you brought the wrong one.
Ahsoka, come in. You're walking into a trap.
I could have told them it was too easy. I suppose it didn't feel easy, it felt hard won.
Vaughn, wait!
It's a trap. And I love the Ahsoka helmets. The cost of war. Right back into it. Jesus Christ. It's fine. God, they have so turned this into a movie, haven't they? Like a 4-part broken up movie, but it's not just a normal Clone Wars episode. Okay, I love this episode, and my decision to binge all 4 today, I mean it's not really a binge, 4 episodes, but to watch them all today was 100% the right one. This is so epic. I'm stressed because we are heading into the time period of the Star Wars universe that I didn't want to. I mean, it was inevitable. That last moment between Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, the last moment between Ahsoka and Anakin, was that their last time seeing each other? Seeing how happy Anakin was to see her, how he couldn't contain his she's back and she's here and oh my god I can, like, the clones have made their helmets for you and I have your lightsabers and oh my god I'm just so happy you're here, everything come, like, you could almost see the part of him that was never ever going to be like, please come back, but there was that part of him that was still thinking, you want to come back, right? Things can be just like they were and, you know, we'll welcome you back. And his belief that maybe there was a reason that she walked away and it was because the Force had to guide her a different path, and that path was the only one that would lead to Maul, and him trying to think, therefore all this pain and suffering makes sense. It really kind of reminds you that despite everything, Anakin at his heart of his character is still a severely traumatized child that the Jedi used a lot, and they tried to be there for him. I mean, they did not like abuse him or anything, but I don't think they were as there for him emotionally as possible, especially being like, oh yes, we probably could have gone and bought your mum out of slavery, but you know, you can't have attachments, so yeah, sorry, awkward, she got sold to the Sand People, or stolen by the Sand People even. Tough. But there were mistakes made there, but he was also in an incredibly vulnerable place that it was obvious he was forming attachments with people and that he needed help to deal with them healthily, but he couldn't reach out to anybody about that, could he? Because he's not allowed to have them or, you know, act on them in any way, which isn't healthy for any human. And then, of course, Palpatine was able to groom him into being his apprentice from the minute he met him, more or less. So I think it kind of really did show you how big Anakin's heart is, how capable he is for good. Now, obviously, he has a very equal capability for evil. There are decisions and things that he does where you're like, there is no call for that whatsoever. You know, maybe you can excuse the murder of the Sand People, even the women and children, because they'd killed his mother and he was kind of in that white hot rage. I still, you know, a bit of an escalation than necessary. But there are certain things he obviously does later that you're like, there is no excuse for that. But you can definitely see Anakin and who he is and why ultimately he can make the right choice many, many years down the line. And to sort of see Ahsoka, I don't think she let herself give in to some of the feelings she was feeling while she was there, because it would be very easy for her to be like, okay, it'd be so much easier if I just came back and I just said, okay, will you have me back, and then things will be normal and I could be surrounded by these familiar things. This episode, she also got a lovely reminder of just how traumatic and awful the war is, and just how many people die when that whole platoon died and she couldn't save them. And also the bureaucracy of it all, you know, for the last however many months, year that she has been on her own, she has been able to make her own decisions, whether it's helping out two sisters or doing whatever. The choices have been hers. She hasn't had to run up the chain and check with someone else who's, in her opinion, and accurately a lot of the time, doesn't have the same information she does, or isn't there on the ground, or is looking at a political big picture and not a major big picture. Now, Coruscant coming under attack, if that fell, the war would be over. So obviously they need to prioritise that. I think saying, oh, you're just trying to protect the Chancellor, just doing it for the Chancellor. Now, there is a lot of that in the Clone Wars. There is a lot of that in the way they've been acting and the decisions they've been making. But in this specific even, incident, it is very important to protect Coruscant. But Anakin's, you know, his compromise of, well, we'll send some soldiers there, was, I think, the right call, because her mission was also deeply important. And yes, there are a lot of political issues with the treaty of the neutrality and whatever, and them being there is a breach of that, but at the same time, Maul being there is a breach of the rights of the Mandalorians. So yes, I'm all over the place because it's all feeling really real that it's coming to an end, that this is gonna be it, and that, you know, I've always, as a viewer, as a consumer of the Clone Wars, of Star Wars in general, I've always had mixed feelings for Anakin. I remember when I was younger, I'm going to go on a waffle now, I'm very sorry. Me, are you surprised? I remember when I was younger, two of my best friends, they really love Star Wars. One of them she'd watched it when she was a little kid with her dad. The other one watched it, I think, with her for the first time. And I just was not interested. Like, I'd seen a bit of one of the movies at one point, like, I think, like, as in, like, it was on television and I was flicking through the channels. I hadn't, like, watched it. And it just, you could tell it was made in the 70s and I was not interested. And I knew they were siblings. I knew he was the dad, and I felt like I knew too much anyway. But they used to talk about it a lot, and they used to, you know, laugh about how hot Anakin was, and like if they fancied him or whatever. And I remember always being like, but he's the big evil man. Why would you ever like him? Like, he's just some brat that turns into... Now, watching the movies for the first time, I was like, okay, there's a bit more nuance to it. But, nah, I think I kind of, like, I was playing Sims at the same time as I watched them. I didn't give them 100% of my attention. Then, before I watched the Clone Wars, I watched the movies again, and I made them my sole focus, and I really let myself process it all. I had more of an understanding of the whole world and everything. And I think that is where you can... The most compelling parts of Anakin's character are off-screen of the movies. The Clone Wars does a brilliant job of fleshing him out. Now I still do believe that the actions he takes and the decisions he makes are unexcusable. I don't think it's like, oh, but you know, he had a sad childhood, it's all okay. But I think they make you understand how a person with such goodness in him could go down that path. And the Clone Wars as a show has done a really good job. And the movies didn't do a bad job, I don't think, but I do think it was a lot to tell in 3 movies, especially when they spent one of those movies with him being like a 10-year-old. It was a lot to do with him at the age when he began vadering. So having this series has done a brilliant job of portraying that. They've done a brilliant job of portraying it. And yet, even though they show you how it happens, you can see how it happens across the series, it is still so clear that there is no excuse for the level of his actions. You know, for him to leave the Jedi, like Ahsoka did, you'd be like, yes, I support you, you go, Anakin. For him to stand up to them and to tell them that they're doing this, and this wrong, yes, you go, Anakin. For him to become a Sith, sit down, Anakin. And basically, big waffle about how I used to just think, like, how could you ever have any complex feelings about Anakin? He becomes Vader. It's like, would you care about young Hitler? But with Anakin's story, the way it is written, it is a compelling one. It does make you, like, at this point in the story, you're desperately wishing, oh, maybe the Clone Wars can tell an alternate version of the Star Wars story, where he doesn't choose the dark side, or where, you know, Obi-Wan sits him down and is like, I've noticed Padme's pregnant, are you feeling a bit stressed about that? And they will let you on the council, maybe just when the wars are, you know, like, I don't know, just for things to be done differently, so that we can have a different outcome. And it's heartbreaking to watch him go through these final stages of becoming Darth Vader, because you know it could so easily have gone the other way. So again, he's a complex character, more complex than like 14-year-old me thought, and my friends were giggling because I thought he was hot. But I mean, admittedly, I imagine they were having more detailed conversations than that, but given that I knew nothing about Star Wars and I was in that phase of like, oh, it's old and dated, I don't care. I did not process what they were saying beyond that. Yeah, that's just my rambling thing. I'm really enjoying the show. I know that I still have 3 episodes left, but I still feel like I'm in the kind of a long goodbye to this show. Ahsoka's character I have absolutely adored watching grow, and she is in a very sticky predicament. I mean, I feel like there's no way she's going to, in this battle, defeat Maul and escape. Like, I feel like she's either going to be captured or she will manage to get away, but she won't be able to defeat Maul, and she'll have to like try and contact them to be like, it didn't work, we need more backup. Or she'll be captured and Maul will be like, ha 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 ha, I have your young Jedi and I'll kill her unless Obi-Wan faces me, ha 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 ha, because he's obsessed with Obi-Wan. I am stressed but also excited. And for Bo-Katan, we know, I mean, I say we know, I know because I've seen her way after this. I still don't know exactly how the details of Mandalore falling came about. I do now wonder if maybe this overt alliance with the Republic and the Jedi could be, I mean the Jedi, but the Republic could be part of why the Empire views them as a threat, because especially if Bo-Katan wins this whole power struggle and ends up being in charge, which is what they implied in Mandalorian and Boba Fett. You could definitely see them looking at Mandalore as a threat. I'm not going to worry about that too much yet, because that's not, I presume that's not where we are. I don't think it'll be the Empire's first order of business, but we're definitely seeing the seeds planted. You know, breaking the neutrality pact, working with Jedi of all people given the complicated history. She's making big choices, and I think she's making necessary choices. Letting Maul rule Mandalore is not going to be the right thing for the people either. But I think it definitely shows you that somebody who is more of a mix of Bo-Katan and Satine, like if they could have ruled as co-rulers, they might have had like a really successful reign. If they could have had like a genuine 50-50 input on everything, it could have been great. So this was a fantastic episode. Very excited to continue the last 3 episodes. A reminder that all of the Clone Wars is up unedited on my Patreon. All of the Clone Wars is up edited on my Patreon if you're watching this on YouTube. And thank you so much for watching.